The community in Jerusalem was expanding so rapidly that the old ways of living together began to buckle. Thousands of new followers were joining in weeks, pushing the group's simple structure to its limit. This growth created a daily crisis of basic needs. Every morning, the community had to organize food for its most vulnerable members, primarily the widows, who relied entirely on the group for survival. But as the crowd grew, a cultural divide emerged. The Greek-speaking widows were being overlooked during the distribution, while the local Hebrew widows received everything they needed. This perceived bias led to a wave of internal complaints. This dispute over daily bread threatened the unity of the entire movement. If these two groups turned against each other over food, the community would shatter from the inside. The 12 apostles were caught in the middle. They were the movement's very founders, yet they had become the single point of contact for every minor logistical argument. They realized as long as they were personally managing the food tables and settling inventory disputes, they were neglecting their actual purpose, teaching and prayer. The apostles saw that they could no longer handle every detail themselves. To survive this growth, they would have to trust others with the authority to manage the community's daily life. They decided to hand over the entire weight of the food distribution to a new group, leaving themselves free to focus on the message. A movement cannot thrive on belief alone. It requires an orderly, hands-on way to care for its people if it is going to stay together. The apostles set a high bar for these new roles. They told the disciples to look for men who were respected by everyone, known for their wisdom, and clearly guided by the Holy Spirit. They called for the selection of exactly 7 men to oversee this work, creating a specific, dedicated group to handle the distribution. The community chose Stephen, Philip, Prochorus, Nicanor, Timon, Parmenas, and Nicholas. By choosing Nicholas, a convert from Antioch, they ensured the Greek-speaking members had a direct representative in the new leadership. The apostles stood with these 7 men, prayed for them, and laid their hands on them, publicly transferring the power to manage the community's resources. This move separated the physical needs of the widows from the spiritual work of the teachers, allowing the community to function on 2 levels at once. Once the apostles stepped back from the daily chores and let the 7 take over, the movement experienced a surge in growth. Splitting the leadership into specialized roles allowed the message to reach more people faster, rapidly multiplying the disciples in Jerusalem. This success even reached the temple, leading a large, previously isolated group of Jewish priests to join the faith. The 7 did more than just fix the food distribution. They provided the stability the church needed to enter its most intense period of expansion. One man among the 7 quickly emerged as a standout figure, Stephen, a man noted for his intense faith and personal power. Stephen's influence didn't stop at the food tables. With his newly granted authority, he began performing remarkable wonders and signs in public for all to see. This public visibility drew the attention of the religious authorities. Scholars from several prominent synagogues stepped forward to challenge Stephen in open debate. The debates weren't even close. These established leaders found they could not withstand the wisdom and the spirit with which Stephen spoke. By selecting the most capable men to solve a simple internal crisis, the church had inadvertently placed a powerful and articulate defender directly in the path of the status quo. Realizing they couldn't win the argument fairly, the religious leaders turned to deception. They found men willing to provide false testimony against Stephen. The specific charges were life-threatening. They accused Stephen of speaking against the temple, against God, and against the centuries-old laws that Moses had delivered. The elders and scribes worked the crowd into a rage, seized Stephen, and brought him before the Sanhedrin, the highest religious council in the city. As the council looked at him, Stephen didn't show fear. Those watching him saw that his face was perfectly calm, appearing to them like the face of an angel. The appointment of 7 administrators had saved the church from an internal collapse, but it had also brought them into their first major conflict with the powers of the city.